Breaking the gray.
Boom. That's right. Bonus content. Everyone loves bonus content. That's why we got Sarah to give you her quick hacks, on-the-go content just for you about specific things that we know are going to help you along the way. Take a listen. Here we go. Sarah, you're here.
Russ, how are you?
I'm fantastic. We're doing this incredible thing where we actually get to see each other as we record. This is amazing. You look amazing today.
Thank you very much. Yes, likewise. It's not quite a direct transmission, but almost.
We're almost there. We're like this. We're this far away from being able to touch over the Atlantic. We're going to talk today about lighthearted.
Yep.
What does that mean? I'm lighthearted. I joke around a lot. Is that what it means? Let's jump into it because there's some fantastic information here.
So lighthearted. So we're talking all things light. And so I thought I would talk a bit about light that is emitted from the heart or received by the heart and how light interacts with the heart. Okay. Because we talk about light in the fairly narrow band. We tend to talk about, light in terms of what we can actually see. But actually light is part of an electromagnetic spectrum. And it's quite a broad spectrum. And so the light actually does emit a lot of electromagnetic frequencies and waves.
Okay.
And this is something that's not often thought about, the electromagnetic field of our bodies and the electromagnetic field that comes into our bodies as well. So the heart is one of the main places where we actually emit this electromagnetic field.
Okay.
And the brain's also, but the heart's much of a stronger field.
Is the heart storing light?
Well, the heart is, if we're talking about light as an electromagnetic band, the heart is definitely putting it out and receiving it back.
Okay. So it's like love. I get it.
Well, this is the interesting thing where a lot of people have looked at emotional states or thoughts and feelings and how that may be expressed on an electromagnetic wave. And there's some very, very interesting research coming from California, actually very near you, Boulder Creek, HeartMath. Have done some fabulous research into electromagnetic fields and how that relates to emotions. And you've got some lovely redwoods up there near you. So they also look at how we relate to trees, because trees also emit electromagnetic waves and fields. And we do interact with those. The choice of words, that a poet uses and a scientist uses are, very carefully selected because they actually do mean very similar things, right? Connection and connected to you and emotions. So so if we have with this electromagnetic field, starting with the heart, that means that we have to be very sensitive to things outside of our body that are also emitting electromagnetic currents. Yes. So there are what we call native electromagnetic fields. So the field from your heart is a native electromagnetic field. It comes from your heart and it actually extends quite a long way out of your body. I think they've measured it up to 10 meters or so, but that's maybe a limitation of our measurement rather than actually how far it goes out. And then there are also things called non-native electromagnetic fields. So the non-native electromagnetic fields are things like Wi-Fi, cell masts, just general electricity, radio frequencies that are emitted from devices. So we are susceptible to native and non-native electromagnetic fields. So if you're in a room with someone, you are influenced by their native electromagnetic field, like you are genuinely influenced by the field coming from the other person's heart and their brain. which is fascinating. And there's so much research we could talk about there, you know, how mothers sync with their babies and how friends seem to sync with this rhythm. You know, there's a lot of very, very interesting research. But also, we're now surrounded by all of this electrical equipment. You know, I'm sitting here, I've got my mic and my phone and my computer. So that's emitting a field that's also influencing the field of our hearts and of our brains, of our cells.
Yeah. So when we're sitting in a room with our family and we're all on our phones via Wi-Fi, we're not really connected to the people around us. We're connecting to the phone, literally putting our attention to it. But also with what you're saying, there's also, we're creating more distance from those people with us because of these fields in our home. So what's the suggestion here? Turn it off.
Turn it off. Well, yes, well, definitely that's one of the things you can do if we're talking about one, if you want to be more sensitive to the electromagnetic fields of your friends and family. Yes, certainly it's not going to help to have all the, you know, the interfering messages coming off of all the tech when you're sitting there. So it would be good to have a time with your family where you haven't got all of the tech. I mean, I know sometimes that's easier said than done, and we're so used to having all this tech around now, but yes, definitely things that will reduce that interference are things like the Wi-Fi, the airplane mode on your phone, that will reduce, you know, being exposed to quite so many of those fields. Turning the Wi-Fi off at night so that you're not kind of sleeping there in it. If you're not using it, you don't need to have it on.
Are there things to supercharge? So in the way where we're talking about the negative impacts of sort of the external, are there ways to supercharge yourself? I think I know the answer to this, but I'm hoping I'm sure you have more information than what I'm thinking because you're far more advanced than I am.
Well, no, I mean, again, it's very, very simple. I mean, there are natural fields that humans respond to that we should be tuning into. For example, the earth. I mean, there's something called the Schumann resonance. The earth actually has its own frequency, and that's something that we can tune into very easily just by putting your bare feet on the ground. You know, so getting up in the morning and putting your bare feet on the ground for 10 to 15 minutes will instantly tune you into the more natural frequencies so that you're a little bit more centered. I mean, it literally is grounded, isn't it?
Yeah, literally. Yeah, take off your socks.
Take off your socks, take off your shoes and socks. But do it in a place, you know, I'm not advising that you do this right in the middle of San Francisco because obviously there is so much going on. Or, you know, London, when you've got the tubes under you, it's not such a good idea because you're just going to be picking up all of the non-native stuff. But when you're out a little bit far away from the town, grounding is probably the easiest way to connect to those fields, turning off all the tech. Of course, sunlight is one of the natural fields that we should be utilizing. Any
quick tips for circadian rhythms to sort of like certain cycles during the day? So in the morning, get your feet on the ground. You've talked about getting your hands in the dirt. Are there things that you can do like throughout the day that like can kind of help you charge up? So feet on the ground in the morning, see the sunrise. Are there anything else midday that you might suggest to kind of get people recharged rather than going for your 3 o'clock coffee?
Well, I mean, there are other ways to get this, like I say, to have this information energy charge up. I mean, light, if you haven't got sunlight or you can't get out of it, you can use red light devices. They're very good. And also infrared saunas, because infrared is a form of native electromagnetic fields. So, you know, these saunas are great where you can, as long as you get one that's not putting off too much electric discharge. I must admit I'm a bit of a geek in that I have a handheld device. It's a radiometer and it's very simple. It just gives you like a traffic light thing, but you can put it on and you can see if your environment has got too much non-native electric stuff going on.
What is too much? I mean, if you were to measure that, what's the measurement to say it's too much?
Well, it's like traffic lights. So green is okay, and then amber is
easy. Okay.
Yeah, and then red is you really need to move out of this situation when you can. So usually, you know, if you go somewhere like an airport, it's red and off the scale.
Wrapping yourself in a silver blanket's not going to make a difference.
it may help. I mean, there are some great things you can do to make you more grounded. Like I don't have them here, unfortunately, but I was gifted once some sheets with metal fibres through them that you then attach to a pole that you can either stick into here in England, we have an earth in our electric sockets. So you can stick it in that, or if you don't have that, you could just throw it out the window and put it straight into the ground. Just literally sticking a pole in the ground.
You'll have no surprise visitors in your bed at night if you did that.
No,
just shocked. Okay. Well, so again, fascinating topic. Grounding yourself, reducing the amount of external electromagnetic fields that are non-native. Any tips for people that on these red light devices? Are there certain amounts you should take certain times a day you should be using these red light devices?
Red light devices, well, yes, they're a good way to substitute sunlight, and they're also a good way to get a concentrated dose of red or infrared light if you have some kind of injury. That you really do need to get one from a good company, that's got all the clearances, and also you need one that's very sealed, because, like I say, you don't want to give yourself like a lot of e-smog while you're dosing up with the red light. So just make sure you get one. But most, if you look at most companies, you can see if they've got the FDA clearance or something. And depending on the dose, it's usually around about 30 joules per centimetre squared. You really only need 10 to 20 minutes a day.
Okay. Yeah. We've done it again. We've solved some of the mysteries of the body and life. Sarah, thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you for being lighthearted.
Stay lighthearted. If you want information on red light devices, go to our blog at breakingthegray.com. It's all there. We've already set it all up for you. Sarah is our favorite human, and thank you for guiding humanity once again.
Pleasure, Russ. Bye.
Bye. The Rebel Scientist Podcast is a Breaking the Gray production. Created by Russ Eisenman and Paul Wood. Hosted by Sarah Turner. Music and sound editing by Logan Shea. For more information and other fantastic podcasts, visit breakingthegray.com. That's gray with an E. breakingthegray.com.
Breaking the gray.